Right now on WHAS 11 News at noon, the citywide plan for cleanup in Louisville, where crews will start and how much this is expected to cost. Plus, an audit coming to Louisville's USPS facilities after months-long delays in mail service. And later, a tourist helicopter seen crashing into the Hudson River. What we are learning about the 6 victims. Thanks so much for joining us here on this Friday. I'm Brooke Hash, and a special thanks to those watching on our free WHAS 11 Plus app. Cleanup along Louisville's waterfront officially kicks off this weekend, and Mayor Craig Greenberg is asking for all volunteers to help. He announced the citywide cleanup plan after major flooding this last week, which he says was the worst downtown flooding event since 1997. City crews will start with clearing roadways and removing trash and other debris. A national disaster response service provider will also have crews working alongside them. Mayor Greenberg said the expectation is to have this work done in time for the Kentucky Derby, with the cleanup cost nearing about $5 million, around 87% of which is expected to be reimbursed by FEMA.
This is not going to be an easy process, but our expectation is that our parks, roadways, and other public spaces, including Waterfront Park, are going to be restored in their original condition, bright, shiny, and clean, in time for the Kentucky Derby, which is 3 weeks from tomorrow.
Mayor Greenberg also announced a curbside pickup initiative to help citizens remove storm debris from their property. Meanwhile, Waterfront Park is hosting that volunteer cleanup event tomorrow from 9 a.m. to noon. Volunteers will report to the Turf Mutt Great Lawn, and free parking will be available to you in the surface lot across Witherspoon Street. Volunteers will meet with park staff for the supplies and further instruction. Waterfront Park asked volunteers to wear gloves, long pants, and sturdy closed-toed shoes. The park will remain closed to the public while this cleanup continues. While Louisville was spared any major injuries or deaths from these historic floods, that was not the case for neighboring counties. We learned Thursday a 7th Kentuckian died as a result of the floods. Governor Andy Beshear said the person was from Pendleton County, just south of Cincinnati, about an hour and a half from Louisville. The 6 other victims were a 66-year-old from Carroll County, men from Bullitt and Trigg counties, a Nelson County woman, a 27-year-old from McCracken County, and a 9-year-old boy over in Frankfort. Well, meanwhile, JCPS students are back for their first full day of school since spring break. Flooding caused the district to pivot to NTI for the first 3 days of this week, and yesterday class was on a 2-hour delay. The district said those moves were to help keep kids from waiting at stops in the dark on flooded streets, prioritizing safety after that tragedy in Frankfort last week where 9-year-old Gabriel Andrews died after being swept away by floodwaters.
Because we wanted it to be daylight when kids were walking to bus stops, when they were waiting at those bus stops. That is what we think of every day in every one of these situations. It is always about safety.
While JCPS is back on schedule today, dozens of bus stops in the city are still inaccessible. The district says it is excusing absences for those students who cannot safely make it to school. All right, there we go. We just wanted to give you just a little moment there to think about your forecast, Matt.
That's right. And you know, we did see some darker skies earlier. We still have cloudy skies in the forecast for the rest of our Friday, Brooke. It's still looking like a bit gloomy out there. We're going to continue to keep clouds around, a few small showers continuing to make their way further towards the south. I think we're done with rain for the rest of the day along with the weekend. We're expecting to stay fairly dry into our weekend here, but here's how things are shaping up for the rest of our day. You'll notice this clear pattern beginning to make its way into northern Indiana. That's going to arrive towards us as we head later on into the evening hours. Closer towards 5 p.m. is whenever I'm expecting us to finally see some breaks of sunshine. Now, the Ohio River levels are going to continue to drop as we head into the next upcoming hours, and really for the weekend, Saturday morning into Sunday morning, you can expect a dramatic drop in the levels. That's going to be our most noticeable recession, and we should be returning back to normal river levels as we head into the early parts of Monday morning. Temperatures right now ranging in those mid-40s, still a bit chilly out there, staying out of of the north. Then we still have those overcast skies that are going to stick around as we head further on into the day. Temperatures for the rest of us ranging into those mid 40s. For you folks closer towards southern Indiana, still chilly out there. Lower 40s with those strong north winds still bringing in those cooler temperatures. Here's how things look for the next 12 hours. We really only see temperatures reaching about the lower to mid 50s, possibly closer to the upper 50s if we see a little bit more sunshine later in the afternoon. We're going to have a full breakdown all about the weekend details coming up here in just a few short minutes.
Matt, thank you. The New Albany police say a man died when his SUV plunged into a deep creek bed Thursday morning. It happened in the area of 10th and Main Street just before 10:30. First responders found the SUV underwater. They aren't sure what caused the man to run off the road.
I don't speculate at this point on anything other than we had a car that ran off of the road and wound up in the water. Preliminarily, I will say that it's possible that this was a medical issue, but obviously I can't conclude that.
And police have not released the man's identity. The investigation continues. Well, the U.S. Postal Inspector General is auditing 3 Louisville locations and the main distribution facility. Our Alexander Goldberg spoke to residents and local leaders, still waiting to find out what caused those months of mail delays.
Lengthy mail delays. It's a problem familiar to Louisville earlier this year when mail took weeks to arrive at homes. Now there's an audit to figure out exactly what caused that.
Because one was like a thank you letter, and then the other 3 letters were actually postcards that I'd gotten from abroad.
Aaron Lubrick is no stranger to delayed mail. His hiccups with USPS started back in September.
Where I brought them to a blue mailbox and dropped them in the mail, and unfortunately nobody received those letters that I sent.
Now the USPS Inspector General is investigating delivery operations at 3 USPS branches: Middletown, Iroquois, and Pleasure Ridge Park. A spokesperson said there is also an investigation here at the Louisville Processing and Distribution Center that's auditing efficiency of operations.
Will people get their tax documents in time? We've got to make sure that the post office is working and that our men and women who work there, the letter carriers, have the tools they need to get us our mail on time.
U.S. Congressman Morgan McGarvey of Louisville says the issue stretches beyond January's severe weather. He says his office was getting calls before the storm and far after the weather cleared. In Louisville, Alexander Goldberg, WHAS11 on your side.
Auditors were at each facility last week to collect data. USPS says it expects reports to become public in June.